We're going to get started. And I really welcome everybody here. This is the first of my new series called That Cat Webinars. Today's webinar is an introduction to hiring and training your international VA, and that's VA for virtual assistant. Most of you here know me. I've been around for a while. I am an internet marketing and social media consultant. I am an education specialist for eBay. I'm a blogger, a podcaster, and an author. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Housekeeping really quick. This is a recorded webinar which will be available on my That Cat YouTube channel as soon as this is over and I can get the recording situated. The presentation slides will be added as a PDF on my blog at thatcat.com. If you're having audio problems, if you are on the phone, your best solution is hang up. And please do call right back. We would hate to lose you. If you're on the computer and you're having audio issues, the best answer we have is to try your phone line. Sometimes that is much clearer connection if there's chatter on your computer line. The key is to understanding everything I teach. It's important that you understand the how and the why. After the webinar, we'll have a live chat for just a few minutes here, and we're invited to bring your questions. The conversation will continue on my Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/thatcat. Disclaimer, Cliff made me do it. Just so you know that any advice given here is general advice. It is not tax, legal, or financial advice. The agenda. This is where we're going to go today, so you can follow along. Why do I need a VA, and what can it do for me? What can they do for me? Who is Brad DeGraw, and why should I listen to him? And what will I learn in the advanced course? The advanced course will be held 2 days from now on Thursday, March 6th, and you'll give a chance to sign up for that at the end of this webinar. Okay, Brad, it's all yours. Is that you in the picture holding the box?
No, that's not me.
That's you in the middle.
Off the web.
That's you in the middle.
That's me and my son Thomas in the middle.
Aww.
And that was at Warrior Dash. We were able to take off in the middle of the week and just goof off and play in the mud and the fire and the obstacles.
That looks like fun.
It was a lot of fun. And this is kind of the evolution of a good FBA seller. You're going to start with handling a lot of boxes yourself, trying to do everything. And whether you use outsourcing to make more time for play, or if you use it to make more time for work, outsourcing is a way to make the most of your 86,400 seconds you have every day. So for me, I wanted more time to play and make the business a little more smooth. So I looked around and I found Ivan. He's my VA full-time in the Philippines, and he's wonderful. Now I can have more time to play with my son. And the third picture is actually the co-author of my first book, Jesse Ruby. We actually went on the road shopping, and that's a receipt we had from one of our stores.
That's a receipt.
We now, yeah, that's how to do it. Now we do heavy sourcing trips rather than run around and try to pick up 50 items here or there. We really try to fill a cargo van as opposed to just a shopping cart. And so with outsourcing, this is what your options are. You can either work more, you can play more, but either way, you're getting more done because you're able to buy time wholesale. Mm-hmm. In the next slide, we're going to go into really why this is important, why anyone should even listen to me. Basically, I started just over 12 months ago. I had to replace an income really quick, and I just didn't want to get another job. So with $100 and a Wi-Fi connection and my Kindle Fire, I started testing out, can I find products and make money? And sure enough, within a few weeks, it was generating profit. So you can actually start this with $100 or less. You do need a good internet connection. As you get some money, you do need to buy better tools. And I wouldn't start by hiring someone. You're going to work up to the point where you can hire someone to work with you in the business. Mm-hmm. I was able to replace my income within 3 months, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It kept me from having to go to monster.com and try to pull in a job. For me, FBA is not just a business, it's a lifestyle. When you're sourcing in your dreams, when you have time to goof off, to do a webinar in the middle of the day, to stay home when it snows, that's really what it's about, and that's what I've tried to make my business about, is to have more time and more freedom. The reason why it's so nice to lean on me for advice on a virtual assistant is because I've actually learned it and I'm doing it. It's not a theory. It's not something I pulled out of a book. This is something that I've actually had to do in my business, and it worked. It really boosted my income. And so that's why it's nice to be able to share these techniques, because they actually work. They actually make a huge difference in my business. Ivan, he actually ran my eBay store. Since then, I've decided that eBay is not the best place for me to scale up. But for a temporary, just a short period of time, I had a few pallets of inventory that wouldn't sell on Amazon. They just weren't the right condition. Mm-hmm. Ivan came in. We sold all those pallets within 2 to 3 weeks. It was just amazing. And now he basically runs most of everything that needs done in my Amazon store that he can handle from Seller Central. He can't tape boxes or move inventory, but he runs the reports, he goes in, and he more than covers his salary. As we go into the next slide, you can actually see what we're going to cover about. The next webinar, it's everything that you need to know about your outsourced employee. Whether you go local in the United States or you go abroad, you have to do what makes sense. But for me, it made the most sense to go international. We're going to cover how to recruit, how to interview and train your virtual assistant. It's better to have someone who's trainable than someone who has all the answers, at least in my experience. Because there are going to be things in your business that you want done a specific way, and it's best if you have someone that's coachable. We'll go into the specifics on what Ivan does for me in my Amazon business, what Ivan did in my eBay store, what they can do in yours as well. Also, other sales platforms, whether it's Bonanza or Buy.com. There's several different platforms. They all work basically the same, but there are some specifics that your virtual assistant needs to know. Also, the tools. We're going to go over how to create the tools to train your virtual assistant, as well as I'll give the attendees all of my tools, all of the training documents I've used and made for Ivan. I've put them all together in one collection, and those will be sent out to the attendees. How to pay your virtual assistant. PayPal is easy for a lot of folks because you're on eBay. However, that's the wrong tool to pay someone in the Philippines. It's just not reliable. We'll go over not just the payments, how much to pay them, when to pay them, but also the other motivations. Pay isn't the main motivation. They do need to eat, but there's other ways to motivate your employees rather than just giving them raises and incentives. We'll actually go over all the cultural nuances. It's 180 degrees when you hire someone out of the country versus if you hire someone locally in the country. Many of the cultural things we take for granted as second nature are foreign to foreign cultures. And so there's going to have to be a lot of middle ground that you'll need to cover if you want this to be a smooth process. So we'll go over that, as well as security. That's the number one concern I've found for new sellers is I just can't imagine turning over the reins. What if they take all my inventory or they steal my ID or they divert the payments? There are some easy things you can do to keep your account secured and keep your money in your pocket. So we'll go over that as well. Retention. There are times when, again, you're not working with Americans who show up and punch a 9 to 5 clock. There are times when you need to reach your arm around and make sure that your virtual assistant is there, make sure they're happy, make sure they're on board, because small miscommunications can lose a good person. The cultural, there's some good things, there's some bad things, and then there's just a whole lot of things that are just misunderstood. So we'll dive into that, make sure that everyone has all their questions and answers covered. If there's anything you want to ask, you need to know, ask. It's totally an open forum. So these are the things we're going to cover in the webinar. If there's anything specific you have to your store, you can send it to me as an email beforehand or bring it to the webinar.
Excellent. Okay, I think we did it. It's 4:13. Listen, the point of this webinar was to give you an overview of what we're going to be covering on the next webinar 2 days from now. If you have any questions, now is a great time to put them in the question box or in the chat box. Karen's here to help make sure we don't miss anything. But this webinar is simply an overview to tell you what we've been talking about. The review, there is a longer webinar that I've already done with Brad on my website, thatcat.com, under VA webinars. There's a longer version you can see where he starts to do his teaching. Brad is bringing you not just his experience, he's actually giving you his tools. So what I want to talk about is all the things we're going to learn in the webinar. These webinars and this training is geared to hiring an international VA. There are reasons and situations why you would want to hire a United States, US-based VA, okay? There are other reasons and other situations where an international VA isn't one of your best, is your best bet. Brad has chosen the international route, and he's made a lot of money learning how to do this. He's also spent a lot of time. I would say that when Brad and I were talking at one point, he said, really, when you hire a brand new VA, the first week, you've got to kind of consider that training. Okay, because it's going to take about a week to really get them up and running. So, well, by getting some of Brad's training documents and Brad's training tools, I would say you're going to skip at least half of that first week. Does that sound fair, Brad? By having the documents already
absolutely
ready? Okay. Because
yes, absolutely.
Karen just hired her first VA. Karen does some work herself, but she just hired someone to work for her. And she said the biggest surprise to her was when she gave instructions to this person and the person started working, finding all the things she had forgotten to tell the person. Is that your experience too, Brad?
Yeah, there are so many little nuances that you may forget because you just know what you're doing and how you're doing and where you're clicking. And that's the reason why I created the training documents with screenshots so that they literally click on the picture where it says.
Brad's going to he's going to give you his documents, which are step by step. And believe me, when you look at them for the first time, you're going to think, wow, these are awfully in depth. Is this really necessary? Yes, it is. Because as Karen found out the hard way, you don't realize the things that you already know that are automatic to you that you have to teach a VA. So putting together the training documents is the biggest time suck of training a new VA. Having Brad's documents is going to give you a head start on that. In addition to that, this party's going to teach you about retention. If you're losing the first week of their work because you have to train them, or if you have this head start that Brad's going to give you, the first 2 or 3 days are probably training. Every time you lose that VA and start over again, you're going to lose some time. The tips Brad is going to teach you, the things he shares about the Philippine culture in particular, and all of that are going to help you keep that and not lose that time. How much is the webinar in the question box? $39. You can buy it going to thatcat.com/VA webinar. For $39, you're going to get a 2-hour webinar. This is 15 minutes. The next webinar is 2 hours, and we will stay until all the questions are answered. In addition to the 2-hour training webinar, you're going to get 2 bonuses. Bonus number 1 is a 90+, I forget exactly how many pages, but it was over 90 pages ebook that Brad has put together. In that ebook are screenshots and actual training documents that you can copy and paste into Google Documents, or you can send the whole book to your VA for training. Brad, you're going to be selling that book on the Kindle or something after the webinar, correct? But the attendees will get it for free?
Exactly. It's going to be the same book as on Amazon. A week after the webinar, it'll be available on Amazon for $10.
Awesome. So you're going to get the book for free. The other bonus that the webinar attendees are going to get is you're going to get access to Brad's VA. Now, Ivan, that Brad keeps talking about, has been trained to do optimization of Amazon listings. He can do these listings if in Brad's case, he runs Brad's whole Amazon account as an authorized user in Seller Central. But Ivan's also been trained to go into your listings just as an Amazon browser or buyer without access to your account and optimize your listings. Brad has decided to offer that service as a bonus to the webinar attendees. You want to explain a little bit more about that, or did I kind of cover it for us, Brad?
Yeah, I'll jump into it. There are 2 ways to optimize listings. One is logged in as a seller. The other is logged out as normal customers and browsers would be. Amazon is basically a search algorithm. It just connects people's searches to products. So we've devised a system so that Ivan can go in and optimize the listings without even being logged in.
This is cool.
And we'll walk through each of the steps, but if anyone's interested and needs their store optimized, send me the link to their store. Once you've registered to the webinar, I'll have Ivan get started, and it's wonderful to see the traffic boost, and with traffic comes sales.
Yep, absolutely. And, I had to have Brad explain this in detail to me, which he will if you ask him via email. But I was like, how can he do that just from the outside? But he can. There's a lot of stuff that can be done even without logging into your account. So for the $39 price of the webinar, you get a 2-hour webinar with Brad, walking through all of these topics you see on the chart. We will stay after the webinar until all of your questions are answered. You will also get the bonus of the 90-plus page ebook that Brad has created on hiring an international VA and training. In the ebook are the actual documents. That's the part I can't emphasize enough. At the last webinar, we gave attendees 1 or 2 documents, training documents. They were ecstatic with what they were able to accomplish with just those. This is a 90-page book full of different training documents. The documents cover such things as how creating an eBay listing, creating an Amazon pull list. What are some other specific training documents that are in there? Reclaiming your lost inventory from Amazon.
The 3 big ones that impact revenue are about finding inventory discrepancies and getting reimbursement.
Okay.
There are 3 different strategies to go into Amazon and find those discrepancies that Amazon doesn't automatically pay you for, but they will if you ask.
Mm-hmm.
And in most cases, it's hundreds of dollars.
Yes. Okay.
Kat, you said your daughter used those documents. How much did she find?
She found the documents excellent. I gave those documents we got from the last webinar to my daughter, and I said, hey, see what you can do on my Amazon account. And she got me $450 in 3 days. And I'm not a huge seller. I mean, I sell probably, about $100,000 a year, so I'm not huge. So $450 to me was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Nice.
They're asking, Karen's got the question there, what time is the webinar on Wednesday? The webinar on Wednesday is at 4 p.m., same as this one. However, it will be recorded. It will not be put up on YouTube or given to anybody for free, but if you have paid your registration fee, you will be able to get a recording, a copy of the recording. You'll have a password-protected page on my website where you'll find that. If you have questions, if you want to register, you can't make it, please go ahead, send us your questions, kat@katsimpson.com, kat@thatcat.com. Brad will put his email address in there. You can send your questions ahead of time. We'll make sure we answer them in the webinar, and then they'll be in the replay for you. Question from Donna, does the optimization work for eBay too? I think, Donna, that the optimization that Brad is offering for free as a bonus is only good for the Amazon because they would have to be in your eBay account to optimize them. Am I wrong on that, Brad?
No, you're exactly right. The optimization that we're talking about is on Amazon. eBay's site works quite a bit differently than Amazon, and so optimization is a real trick. It's a real bear on eBay.
Yep. It's, eBay, we've been trying to get them to do this for a while. In fact, it's one of John Lawson's big deals is eBay does not have different levels of user access for your account. On Amazon, you can add other users to your account and you can restrict what they're allowed to do. So it's very easy to have a VA or an assistant working for you on Amazon. On eBay, the only way someone can have access to your account is if you give them your eBay password and then they have access to the whole account. So really can't offer that as something free. But the optimization is for Amazon. Thank you, Donna, for asking that question. I appreciate it. Okay, we almost stuck to 15 minutes. I'm a little bit long, and I think we've got all the questions. I haven't started my eBay or Amazon FBA yet. Is this useful to me now? Well, Jay, I'm not sure. I would say that you will be here in a few months, but I'm not sure it's something that you want to do right now. I am a real big believer in spending money only when it makes you money. So, I don't want to encourage you, you have to have this right now. If you're just getting started, this may be something that's down the road for you. The webinar will be for sale after the live webinar, but it will be $49 for those who want to purchase the webinar package after we're done with the live. So there's a lot of benefits for doing it now because you get You get to ask your own questions live, and it's $10 cheaper. But like I said, I'm a real big believer in spending money on tools when they make you money. And if you're not quite at the point to hire a VA, I might say you might want to wait. So I'm not a hard salesman. I want people to use it and make money with it. Like I said, I used the 3 documents out of the 90-page book he's sending. I sent those to my daughter, and she made me $450. So this is definitely something that you can do that will bring you instant revenue. And then the long-term part of optimizing your listings, bringing you more income in. Any last words, Brad, before I put the link in the chat?
No, I'll jump on the last comment there as well. For Jay, I tell him to put the money into inventory.
There you go.
Prove that the concept works, that he'll make money. And then after the revenue is flowing, then look into other channels like this.
I love it. And he says, thanks for your honesty. I will always be honest with you. I am, obviously, we all have to make money for our families, so I'm in it for supporting my family, but I'm not in it to sell you something you don't need. Never. This is a fantastic way. Like I said, I made $450 out of it just in 3 days hiring my daughter. I paid her $45 of that, so I made $405. But it's definitely something you can do. And the problem is, once you prove that FBA works for you and you decide to go down this path, or whether you decide that eBay is where you want to be and it's working for you, when you're a one-person business, you run up against that limit. You can only grow so big. There's only 24 hours in the day. Where do you go when you get there? The only place to go is to hire help. And I love Brad saying that hiring a VA is like buying time at wholesale. Because seriously, when you're buying an international VA, you're paying between $2 and $4 an hour, Brad. Is that about right?
We don't do by hour.
If you had to break it out that way.
It's
hard, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely less than minimum wage.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to say, because some weeks Ivan works less than 40. Sometimes he works closer to 60 hours.
And you can hire them.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can hire them by the hour, but as Brad will tell you, it's sometimes much cheaper to hire by the week. And that's another thing we probably will get into in the webinar that I shouldn't be talking about right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get there in the webinar. But yeah, I just encourage people to take the time, look at where you're at. If you need more time, this is definitely an option.
Yes. To
buy a whole day's worth of time for less than what it costs to go out and eat a nice dinner for 2.
Yeah, in some places you can buy a whole day for less than a Starbucks, depending on what you have at Starbucks. But this is one thing that I've been struggling with for a long time, and even went back in my early podcasting days when we used to talk about the day stretcher. Dave used to always talk about, Dave White, how he was going to create a day stretcher. VA is Dave's day stretcher. You can add more time to your day by hiring a VA. And there's probably a rhyme in there somewhere, isn't there? All right. Thatcat.com/VA webinars is where you go to purchase the webinar. If you have more questions, or you want to turn in a question that you want us to answer on the webinar, send it to cat@catsimpson.com. Brad, if you